Now
All
we're
right,
locked.
we're locked in. I don't know if we should do the immediate introductions, or should we do banter first and then introductions,
Brooke likes banter first,
and then
and then introductions.
okay. So let's
Forced banter.
talk about yeah our our EP Brooke Rosenstock.
Who almost gave birth last night.
Almost. I mean, Braxton Hicks is basically gotcha.
Yeah, it freaked her out a little bit. When you've been hearing for the last several months, like, if you have contractions, it will be catastrophic. So now she's scared. So anything that felt like contractions, she got nervous. But
I mean,
luckily her doctor was on call last night, which was super nice because she got to talk to her doctor
to the
directly.
actual doctor.
And she was like, "You're fine. Relax."
Well, I'm glad that everything's all right.
Yeah, might have had a baby this morning.
Yeah, would have been like cancel podcast.
Nah, I can't make it.
And I would have been like, no,
from like FaceTime in from the hospital.
Yeah. Or I would have brought it up at next week's Notion meeting.
Like,
Eric, you didn't show up to the podcast last week.
What's up with that?
What's up with that? The story time of this week is last week on last Thursday, Eric leaves a little bit early, and I have a last athlete of the day, and the back room is a little bit of a mess, so I just kind of decide to start cleaning a little bit, and I start cleaning. We have an espresso machine. We have a Breville espresso machine in the back, and honestly, the only person that uses it is Eric, because I have one myself at home, so I just make my own before I leave the house. I never really, I never have time. Do you ever see me have like an actual break at all, ever?
It's quick. You go back there, you might scarf something down, then walk back out.
Yeah, it's not like I don't have the 3 minutes to make an espresso. So anyways, I was like, I gotta clean it because it was disgusting and there were coffee grounds everywhere. And also the machine tells you when it needs to be descaled and cleaned.
I just thought it was a fancy light.
Yeah, so there's 2 fancy lights, and these fucking fancy lights are fucking blinking so, like, I'm like, I don't know how you are ignoring this. It's just annoying for me I don't even use it. I can see it every day.
I feel like every week you learn more about my neurodivergence.
Yeah. Divergence, the key word. Divergence.
It's a double-edged sword.
Which honestly, if I talked to Brooke about it, I feel like Brooke would understand.
Oh, like, we need her on SPCAST. She has to be a guest at some point.
Yeah, because it would just be us griping about the fucking neurodivergence.
Put in air quotes.
Neurodivergence.
It's a real condition.
So they're fucking blinking, and like my OCD brain is like, we got to do something about this. So I know how to clean it. It takes like 2 seconds. You literally just like push the power button and the 1 cup, 2 cup at the same time.
I'm learning this now, so I'll remember.
Descale. But before you do that, you have to like take all the components out and clean them individually. And on the back of the Breville, there is a water tank. And in the water tank, there's also a filter. I fucking take out this water tank, and there is about a quarter size ball, not just like a little bit, but a quarter size ball of mold. Like, it's just like
it's the source of my power. I've been really tired lately. I don't know why.
I'm like, oh my God, this thing is disgusting. Like, I didn't even want to touch it.
Was it touching the water though?
It was in the water.
In the water.
Yeah, like hovering? it was like had grabbed on with legs to the corner of the water tank, and then it was just kind of like floating like a chain ball on top of the water.
How long do you think that was there? What if it was before me?
No.
What if this thing has been growing since last year?
No, bro. That I know for a fact it wasn't there. Anyways, it was disgusting. Like, so I'm cleaning it out. Then I take the filter out. The filter needs to be changed once every 2 months, every 3 months, just kind of depending.
I'm putting that thing through the ringer. I drink
like
I consume How many coffees do you think I drink
At
a day?
least 4.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I like literally counted 5.
No, yesterday I only had, I think you're thinking earlier in the week, because yesterday I remember it was 5 o'clock and I was like, oh wow, I'm just now making my first coffee. That was good yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways,
The week flies.
he's like, let's say on average 3 to 4 cups.
Yeah. That's definitely
of double espresso. Like he's rocking 4 double espresso, which are 8 espressos throughout the day. So he's just like running through it.
It just doesn't do anything to me.
That machine is literally has been used more in the last quarter than it has in the 4 years that I've owned it. So I take out the filter. The filter in itself is moldy. Like I don't even know how the filter's filled with charcoal and filtering agents, and I don't even know how mold grows on charcoal. Like that just got to be a science project?
Well, yeah. It sounds like a fun of like 4th grade. We got to get like the, what are those things? You know, like
the full threefold.
The threefold.
The threefold. The trifold.
Trifold. Yeah,
trifolds board.
Everyone remembers those.
Yeah. So I take that out. It's fucking full of mold. I'm like, Eric has been drinking this. I mean, let's just say conservatively, it's just been a month. You've been drinking that shit
just
for a month.
Mold.
And he's just like, I don't even know how he doesn't.
There's no taste.
Yeah, but or also like he's the one who's filling up the water. So like, how are you not looking in the water tank?
Well, you saw yesterday how I fill it up. Like I tilt the thing and I pour in from the left side.
Yeah.
So I never looked on the right. I didn't realize there was stuff over there. I mean, when you told me that, I was like, cool.
Okay, but just to make the story complete, so now everything's cleaned because I cleaned it. Also, like, because I have the same machine here at the house. I when I pull out the grate, there is like literally, I want to say 4 to 5 portafilter like volume of grinds in the.
We have the grind setting up really high. Lots of extra grind.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't messed with that setting, but it's.
I don't know how. Like I just don't know how. I don't really understand how much is falling out into the grate. It's like literally a little Mount Everest in there of just coffee grinds. And then also in that grate, the coffee grinds, because you're just leaving them in there, are all moldy too. Like all of it is mold. Like that whole thing should be on the set of The Last of Us. Seriously.
Yeah. So yeah. So when I was making coffee the other day, Wu said that I'm the Genesis, the origin of
The Last of Us.
The Last of
the
Us,
fungus of The
or
Last
like
of Us.
28 days later.
Yeah, seriously.
Rage virus started with me.
The virus started at the sports pod in the fucking staff room.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about, I'm like, this is how you clean it, blah blah blah. And then I'm watching him do it. I'm watching him do the espresso, and he's doing it in a way where I'm like, why did you just do it that way?
Oh, okay. I know where you're going.
Because I just press program and then the double espresso, and it essentially makes you an Americano-ish.
Yeah.
So I'm watching him do it, and he's like holding the button, and he's like looking at the fucking the scale that's
There's
like the little dial pressure. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, like I just figured out that if I hold this button,
I can control the infusion length.
Right. Infusion length, so that the pour comes out smoother and it's like a more intense espresso. And I'm like, how the fuck did you figure that out? But you can't figure out, 1, how to clean the fucking bread valve. 2, not even notice that there's fucking mold. And literally every part
you literally
of the...
gave the perfect explanation of ADHD. Is like, I went down a rabbit hole of learning how to like make a better espresso, and learned all about like the pre-infusion process, the range that has to be in, what that means as far as like the pressure. I went down this whole thing on like how to like make this awesome espresso.
Did you not also read like don't use moldy water?
Is that part of the article?
Wasn't that the first thing? Step 1, make sure water is good.
Make sure there's no mold. So if I get superpowers or cancer, that's why.
It's just every week I'm just amazed by it. Every week we have meetings, just the entire team, and I mean, I just want to bring things like this up. Like how do
How
you
did I
operate like this?
I don't know. It's a
How do you
special skill.
operate? It's fucking nuts.
But my coffees are
Anyways,
good.
I'm Dr. Wu, and I'm the owner operator of the Sports Pod. I've been a sports medicine doctor for, I don't know, 15 years. No, I don't know. I'm just, you know what? It'd be funny if I just keep on adding years every podcast.
Yeah.
Like 16 years,
17, yeah.
18 years, 42 years. And I specialize in sports injuries and musculoskeletal injuries. And this is Coach Eric.
I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I've also been a coach for over 15 years. My specialty is in biomechanics and movement, and yeah, I help people stay healthy.
Okay, and you are entering the SPCAST.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
We're just gonna continue to fuck with that until
it's not awkward.
It's not awkward. So this week's episode, we are gonna go over something. We're just gonna kind of piggyback over something that we've been talking about in the clinic and some of our bonus episodes, which is Eric made me fat.
Yeah, but I didn't really.
No,
but what we did is we learned.
Did you see that pause? People, we saw it on video. He paused because he was like,
I paused
he
because
felt that's a pause of guilt.
Spreading fake news
that is
about your fatness.
That is a pause of guiltness. I did a DEXA. So in our previous podcast, we talked about my executive health screen and how we did a very particular scan at that health screen, which gave me percentages around my body fat, my muscle mass, all of that, which is we needed to have a marker as we started this journey. And we wanted to get an update because I had been stalling out at like 18% body fat, and my weight
scale.
Yeah, on the scale, and my weight had been really honestly fluctuating, but like kind of stalling out between like 172 and 174 over the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Which, for those of you that don't know, it started at 185. 185.
Yeah. So essentially, like over the last 3 months, I had lost about 12 pounds, and we kind of wanted to see like what the fuck was going on, because my body fat has not really, I mean, it has changed, but it hasn't changed the way
you thought it might.
We thought it would, especially because I have restricted my carb and fat intake by dramatically.
Yeah, we started off with a pretty big caloric deficit to kind of get you on your way. And we started off with more of a intensity focus in terms of the way you were lifting. So it wasn't a lot of volume. It was a lot of building up to like a daily heavy.
Yeah.
5s, 3s, and 1s.
And the podcast today is not necessarily about what we're doing. If you want to know more about what we're doing and how we've changed it, there's a bonus podcast, I think, right before this one.
Yep.
And you can find that on the Spotify, and I will get Leslie to put it on the YouTube. But one of the things that I found, which I knew this just from school, is there are multiple ways of calculating your body fat.
Right.
And I think the one thing that is really, there's one thing that you need for listeners, the one listener out there at Goldman Sachs, which they might even have like a body fat machine actually inside their headquarters.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't be surprised. If you need a consult, you can call Coach Eric at 214-888-6769 on which body fat machine you need to buy. But the one most important fact of this whole journey is you need to just use the same machine
Right.
every single time.
Consistency in device.
And this is something that you learn in university, but you also learn. It's called interreliability, meaning when you use, if the same person that is administrating the test, that's consistency. If it's like multiple people doing the test, they're going to have different perception. They're going to do it. Technique is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get inconsistent results. So the one thing that I want you to get out of this podcast is whatever you should choose,
Yeah.
just you have to stick with it.
Correct.
Because you can't, if you go around and switch around, you're going to get very inconsistent results, and then you're going to be all over the place. And really what you're trying to get to is measuring what is the delta?
Right.
What is the change from A to B?
Correct.
The actual number or the actual result of A and the actual result of B doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
So let's start with the first is a DEXA scan, because a DEXA scan is the thing that I did
Right.
last Friday. And I'm just going to let Coach Eric explain what is a DEXA scan and what are they actually doing.
So a DEXA scan, it's similar to like a CT scan, but where a CT scan takes a lot longer, and the way that the radiation, the way that the X-ray machine works, you're getting 3D slices of the body all the way down. A DEXA, it hovers over you and you're just beaming straight down. So you're getting frontal plane, like a flat image. But what's nice about using radiation technology is you can be a little bit more precise in differentiating bone, muscle, and fat tissue. Same thing with like a CT scan, you get all of that data. Whereas other measurement devices, they're just measuring the displacement of the two, like your body's density outside or inside the device. So you're getting less data, and so it's a little bit less precise. So DEXA is definitely like the gold standard when it comes to technology for measuring your body fat. Because it's so accurate, it tends to skew higher than other devices. And so what you'll see is people that have used like an impedance method through like electrical impedance through like a smart scale, when they go to use a DEXA, it can sometimes be jarring because the number will usually be sometimes 6-7% higher.
Well, then what are you saying, that the DEXA scan is actually more accurate than your body scale? So
Yes.
that is so I am actually 24%.
You probably are closer to that number. Now with any device there's error, and there are things that can occur in your body before you take the scan that can impact the results. So your hydration levels, whether or not you worked out before, the way it's measuring those pixels and determining what, like the topography, what it's determining as a fat pixel, muscle pixel, all those things that can be skewed. So, and people with high bone density, it can sometimes affect the image, and so those bone, like what's actually a bone pixel, can be picked up as a fat pixel. So everything has margins of error, but like we were saying before, as long as you're using the same device, it's the delta between the two that you're more concerned with. So yeah, when you're looking at your body fat scale, your smart scale, that was probably giving you an inaccurately low number. And actually there's a lot of data showing that if you work out before you stand on like that impedance method, because muscle conducts better than fat, because muscle cells have more water, more electrolytes, so it's going to pull that current better. It will look like you have a higher muscle mass, and so thus your body fat percentage will skew low.
So this is a good reminder that you, like, when I do my weigh in for on my smart scale, I do everything the exact same,
Right.
which is I wake up at the same exact time. It's always a Friday. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I do a mass evacuation, and I get on the scale, and it's exact everything's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like I don't drink
That's the way you should
water.
be
It's
doing it.
like that, and this is really important. Like if you're gonna do the DEXA scan, that DEXA scan I did at 2 o'clock
Yeah, later in the day.
later in the day. I hadn't eaten, I hadn't worked out on the Friday, and I hadn't drank any really water. So the next time I do it, I'm gonna try to do it at 2 o'clock
Yeah,
on
try
the
to keep the
Friday.
same.
Don't eat. I'm not gonna work out that day.
Hmm.
I'm gonna make sure everything is the same because you have to have a control, right? These are
Yeah,
the controls. It's like anything else.
correct.
Explain to us how a smart scale works.
Right. So it's basically sending an electrical current through your body, and then it's measuring how well that electrical current is impeding through the tissue. And if you have higher muscle mass, it will impede less, and if it's more fat tissue, it'll impede more.
So it really is. So the bioelectrical impedance, hydration really matters
Yes.
because if you're drinking more water and you're more hydrated, the electrical current that's going from one foot to the other foot, because
Mhm.
really what's happening is it's sending a small electrical signal through one foot and all the way to the other, and it's timing
Yep.
what that, and then it's calculating how much out of that timing, how much of it
Yeah.
is
How well that current
muscle,
was
how much
absorbed.
of it is fat through their algorithm.
Hmm.
So if you are super hydrated, you are going to get
Conduct
a
better. Yeah.
conduct better, and you're going to get a higher muscle mass, less body fat. If
Correct.
you're super dehydrated, then you're going to have a higher body fat percentage and a lower muscle mass.
Correct.
This is how you cheat the
This is how
system,
you cheat.
people.
Yeah, you can cheat. You can cheat all these things a little bit, um, and you can also mess them up, because of that as well. So
Yeah, which again, I repeat this for the third time. You have to
consistency.
consistently make sure that you are going into the test exactly the same as you did the previous times you've done it before.
Correct.
And again, it's also a data point, which is you're looking, if you do it more, then you see a better um, pattern of what is actually going on. If you do
Correct.
it less, then it's hard to change. So I do it once a week for my own sanity.
Yeah.
I think that like doing it twice a week is probably good, but
Yeah.
I think any more than that, you're going a little bit to a mental,
Right.
you're going into a mental bad
The
place.
nice thing about a smart scale is they're cheap. Anyone can get one. And when they've done studies using the smart scale, it was accurate with the same the same person over multiple like groupings of data. That showed more consistency. But if you have like, let's say I just show up to your house and I stand on your scale, that single data point has a lot of variance. So like that wouldn't be good data for me unless I start grouping data points using the same scale over and over and over. Whereas for like a single point in time, like the accuracy of a DEXA is much higher.
Okay, so that is an explanation of your at-home smart scale. The third way of doing this is you can have a professional like Coach
Calipers.
Eric and do a manual caliper. And even in the caliper test, there's different ways of doing it.
Right.
So the first way is the
There's like a
5 point.
five, like the most common
The
is like a
most
5 site.
common is the 5 site. So I call it the 5 point caliper scale,
Yeah.
which which is essentially explain it to the peoples.
Yeah. So you're measuring skin fold from 5 different locations on the body, and then you're using a formula based on their height, their age, and their weight, and then the measurement in millimeters on the caliper of that skin fold, and then it gives you a body fat percentage.
And Then there's a 7.
A 7 and a
site.
10. Like, so when I do calipers for people, I do a 10 site. And so we're measuring to go through them. You have, your quadricep, you have the inside of your calf, you have tricep, you have bicep, you have pec here, you have mid-axilla underneath here, you have subscap further back, you have umbilical around your belly button, iliac on the side, and then lower back. I think I just went through 10, maybe I forgot one, but those are the site locations. And the reason why like a 10 site, obviously more data points, more accurate, but what we will have another episode more on hormones to go through this, so I don't go down too much of a rabbit hole. But basically, the location, you can look where, based on their skin fold, you can start to see trends in where that body fat is being stored, and that can lead you in a direction of understanding maybe where their hormone profile is. So if they have maybe high estrogen, low testosterone, high insulin, cortisol levels, um, you can leptin dysfunction, even your like TSH, your thyroid. If those hormones are high or low, your body will tend to have a higher percentage of your body fat be in certain locations. So, for women especially, like we're looking at, is there a lot more body fat in like underarm? Is it mainly around the trunk? If you get like the up around the trap and neck, these all tell you something. And when you just do like a bio, like an impedance, or if you do just like a hydrostatic dunk, which we'll go over that in a second, because those just give you like single values of your body fat percentage, they're not really giving you information of where the body fat is.
So the advantage of doing a manual caliper test is the person that's doing it, and if they are really good, they can, depending on where the displacement of fat is, can explain to you more of where are what imbalances you might have
Right. And that would
hormonally.
direct like your nutrition plan, your exercise program, what type of efforts, what, the energy systems we're training more or
Yeah.
less of, the percentage of intensity relative to your max on weights. These things can all help get your hormones more into optimal levels.
But just to be clear, you could also figure that out from a DEXA
Yeah,
scan,
DEXA
because
does the
the
same
DEXA
too. Yeah.
scan is telling you where most of your fat is. Like in my DEXA scan, all of the fat was in my
Abdomen.
abdomen and my love handles, my
Yeah. So yeah,
handles,
lower trunk area,
lower fat
waist
tire.
area.
That
The location where if you're really stressed and insulin sensitivity is probably fairly low, you're going to see fat distribution in those areas.
Yeah, so essentially he's telling me I got to go on the Ozempic.
No Ozempic. No Ozempic. But yeah.
The downside of having a manual caliper test is that it can be inconsistent, right? It depends on the
Yeah.
person that's doing it. It depends if they can remember exactly where they did it. You would hope that they remember or are very consistent about grabbing the way that they grab the
The
fat,
way they
right?
grab, like there's a
The way
there's a
they pinch
technique to
it.
it.
Yeah, it's all
And
technique.
like a lot of things, like low end and high end of the spectrum tend to be more difficult with calipers because you either have very little skin to grab, and so
Yeah.
it's sometimes tough to get accuracy there. And then for people that have fat in an area for a very long time, it can be very hard to like grab that fat. It can be
Yeah.
like hard, and it's just difficult to get a good
Yeah.
read. So
It's
people that
it's
are
not juicy fat.
if you're like much higher body fat, people tend to have an issue with calipers, accuracy of calipers. Whereas generally anyone within like the low teens to like the 30% range, like that area, most those are going to give you good results.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, but if it, I mean, personally, if I had to rate which one out of all of these is
Yeah, order them.
the least accurate, and also the least consistent. I would say calipers is probably,
Yeah, you're at the mercy of the person doing the test.
yeah.
So you can have someone who's been doing these for a long, long time be, get you like pretty much spot on to like what a DEXA might show you, and then another person might be terrible.
But even the person that has been doing it for 20, 30 years, they could just be having a bad day.
Yeah, whenever you leave something up to human error,
Yeah.
you know,
The degrees of freedom and the degrees of how many ways that it could go wrong is much higher
correct.
when it's a human being doing
Which
it.
then again, we're gonna say it till we're blue in the face, but if you're gonna get calipers, if you're gonna have caliper tests done, make sure you have the same person doing it and try to do them soon, like within a closer degree of time, because it allows that person to have a more accurate, like they're going to grab the same site because they're more likely to remember, like, oh, this is where I grabbed on you
Yeah.
that last time. Whereas if you go a long period of time, it's just easier to be like, did I grab, you know, here? I generally measure up from certain points. So like I'll have those little like tape measurements. So I'll just like remember, hey, we're gonna go 6 inches up from the knee. We're gonna go. So that way I'm keeping consistency from like a certain like home base, and then I measure from there, so I know I'm hitting the same spot.
Okay, so moving on. After that, there is something that I did in university because we had a pool, and I mean, because I was in kinesiology and at the University of Toronto, you had a health class, and we learned all about body fat and training and cycles and
Mm-hmm.
periodization and all that stuff. And we also had just legit gym class, which we had swimming as one of the gym classes, which fucking sucked.
You don't like swimming?
Oh, it was the worst. It was like the semester where we had the couple of weeks of swimming, which again, I'm so happy that I went to the school that I went to and I was in the program that I went to, because we went through every sport and you had to do it, and they were teaching you like these are the fundamental biomechanics of front crawl, breaststroke, um was the
Backstroke.
backstroke, all of that stuff, and it gave me a better for my career now. I totally understand when an athlete comes in, they're like, it feels weird when I front crawl and I'm coming and reaching through. And I just have a better understanding than most people do because I had to actually do it. But anyways, I diverge. That's my neurodivergence. Neurodivergence.
Stop doing air quotes.
We one of the classes was we had to do, they had like a part of the pool where you could do
Hydrostatic.
hydrostatic body fat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I the entire class had to do it. We had to all calculate it. We did it in front of everybody, which I feel like in 2025 we'd get canceled for doing something like that.
It's not like you guys are naked.
Yeah, but like having that type of information floating around what your body fat is in college when you're like probably freshman 15.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, what happened was what they did was we would get into a chair, and then we'd get dipped into the water all the way through. Like you had to push
Fully
all
submerged.
of your air out of your lungs, and you're basically drowning. You are drowning for about 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, it feels like a very long time. If you're not comfortable holding your breath underwater, then it can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
So the method is essentially, I don't know what the water is that filled to the brim.
right, so you're measuring, so you have a couple different data points to do the formula properly. You have like the density of the water.
Mm-hmm.
You have the density of your body outside.
Yeah.
And then when you're fully submerged, the density of your body submerged.
Mm-hmm.
And so those elements allow you to calculate the amount of body fat.
And it's really important that you push out all of the air.
All the air.
out of your body, so that it's because obviously if you put a balloon in the water, that air is going to take up mass, which is going to push out more water.
Right,
So
right.
that's why they're like, you need to breathe everything out before you go underneath that
And most
water.
people have never fully exhaled
No.
everything.
Yeah.
So you can try this at home, but once you've exhaled, you can keep pushing a little bit further and
Further.
keep exhaling to the point where you like start to do that number. Uh, that's what they mean, and you're doing this all while under holding your breath. So
Yeah.
it's an uncomfortable feeling if you've never done that before.
It's uncomfortable.
And so when you see these kind of remote like trucks will show up to a gym and they'll run everyone through, like you're going into like a pretty small, so it's a little bit of like claustrophobia too. And so you're in this like this truck and they're putting you under. And the last time I did it, I think I failed like 3 times. Like I came up, I'm like, was that good? And they're like, no, gotta do it again. And so it sometimes takes a couple tries before you can kind of stay under, calm, fully exhale, no air in your lungs.
Yeah. That means you also have to fart out whatever's also in your stomach to be super accurate.
Don't do a hydrostatic after Mexican food.
Or if you just taken some whey protein.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're lactose intolerant.
Now this method of water displacement is actually quite accurate.
Yeah.
It will tell you pretty accurately where you are on body fat and also muscle mass. And the reliability really just comes out back to you, to yourself as a human, of really just like the technique of like blowing out as much air as possible.
Right.
Like that's really the only degree of freedom that might
Yeah. And
jack
also
up your
like
results.
all of these things, your hydration levels going in. Um and when you last ate.
Yeah.
I recommend being fully fasted, doing these in the morning, to get a more accurate reading.
Which is at school, that's what we did. We had
Yeah.
done it at 7 o'clock in the morning. None of us had anything to eat. Just probably waking up 5 minutes before fucking class. And
But I mean, compared to a lot of methods, I really like the hydrostatic,
yeah,
dunk tank type.
it's
type
one of my.
machine.
I would say it's also one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I think that. I think obviously the DEXA scan is quite accurate. It's probably, I wouldn't say it's the gold standard, but
It allows you to get um, more data points because the beyond just getting your body fat percentage and your total weight, you're also getting bone density. You're getting some other things that you don't get from the dunk tank, and you can actually see an image. Like you get 3 layered images of like
yeah.
how your body looks.
I mean, he saw my report, which is quite in depth.
Yeah.
And from the DEXA scan. So,
but you can get resting metabolic rate from a hydrostatic. Like
yeah.
you can get some other important information that would help like a nutritionist.
Yes, exactly. So that's what water displacement is. Now, I think we're on the 4th or the 5th. In the 5th measure. Are we on the
CT,
5th?
DEXA.
No, we didn't
hydro.
say to CT. We didn't talk about.
Well, I kind of said in the very beginning like the difference between the DEXA,
Yeah.
like because they're both X-ray technology.
Okay.
So I didn't go in depth on that one, but
we're on number 5. Okay, number 5 is AirPods, not like the AirPods that you are currently using to listen to this wonderful podcast.
Yeah, like they're called a lot of the company that you'll see a lot is like called the Bod Pod, and it looks like a little egg that you sit in.
Yeah.
And it's instead of displacing water, it's displacing air.
Yeah. And actually this is a much easier process. You can go in it clothed. They do get you down to your skivvies.
Mm-hmm.
Skivvies? Is that pirate term? Skivvy?
Yeah, I don't know. Ask
Brooke, our executive producer, can you please fact check that?
That's Jack Sparrow.
Skivvies, I think, is a term from pirates. Anyways, you get down to you get down to your skivvies and you sit into this pod, and they're measuring air pressure essentially.
Yeah.
How much air have you displaced out of the pod? Um, and that then they do a calculation of that to
Mhm.
basically the same as hydrostatic
Yep.
as to how much
Yeah.
air are you taking. You're taking
The
too much air.
pressurization. Yeah.
And it's almost the same. It's quite accurate. I
Yep.
would say this is a little bit more accurate than the hydrostatic
Yeah.
because
It's more consistent.
it's more consistent, and you're also obviously more comfortable. There's no way of failing this test. You can fail the hydrostatic one because you're just not
Yeah.
under long enough,
Correct.
or you didn't breathe enough air out. This, you just literally walk into that
Sit down.
pod, and it's just measuring the displacement. It's like fucking 1 minute, not even, and then you get
A
out.
lot of, I think maybe um Equinox, they might even have a few there. Like there's some gyms that have a couple of these devices at the location, maybe even Lifetime now.
I
So you
don't
can
know.
just go and hop in one.
They have, I mean, they have them definitely at the fancier gyms.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know which fancy gym actually has them. I don't think that the Equinox at Oak
They
Lawn
don't.
has them.
When I was doing some work with um the military for a little bit, I was doing like entertainment tours uh for the army, and they were sending me to an Air Force, so some different bases, and a lot of the bases um, in their like rec centers, they had bod pods, which I was like pretty impressed by. But not to go off on a tangent, but I love tangents. But like that's like a big major shift in the U.S. military, is getting a better sense for the health of the people enlisted, so that way they kind of know, like they can give everyone like a more detailed like nutrition plan to get them leaner.
So after AirPod, what am I missing? One? Well, go over CT scan. There is a CT scan, which I think that the CT scan is essentially the same technology as DEXA. It's a little bit more
It's
in
more
depth.
radiation. More,
Yeah.
you're exposing your body to more radiation. It's computed tomography. That's what CT
Mm-hmm.
stands for. And it's the device that you're going in. It surrounds you,
Yeah.
so you're getting a 3D slice. So it's better for medical uses. That's, when someone says, "Oh, I'm getting a CAT scan," like that's
Yeah.
what they're referring to. Um, and so it's great for finding tumors and dysfunction in the body,
Strains,
because you're getting
sprains.
slices all the way
Also
down the
tells
body.
me when you have a bone bruise or stress fracture.
Mhm.
It's quite accurate,
Yeah, very accurate.
and that we're getting closer to a gold standard. Getting closer.
Yeah.
Um, so they're in the news these days. And probably you'll see this on your TikTok influencers and also your Instagram influencers, your social media influencers.
Mm-hmm.
Is this new company called Prenovo? Have you heard of this company?
Prenovo.
Prenovo. Prenovo uh is this place where you can get scanned as a full MRI of your entire body, head to toe, for like a couple of grand,
Mm.
and it tells you everything from head to toe. Like you might have a benign brain tumor, or you have herniated discs, blah blah blah. But it'll also tell you what your muscle mass is and your body fat, and that's honestly, to this day, the in 2025 Q2,
The
10,
MRI.
10 tariffs later,
A lot more than 10.
104% tariff later,
Hope they don't
we
tariff MRIs.
yeah, they're gonna tariff the MRI. I mean, honestly, probably
I
the
bet
parts.
a lot of the stuff that
The
makes them
parts
is,
probably do come from China.
yeah.
That is the gold standard. The gold
Correct.
standard is obviously doing an MRI, the entire body MRI. It will tell you exactly where your fat is. It'll tell you exactly where your muscle mass is. It'll tell you if you have strain sprains, labral tears,
Yeah.
bone issues, all of it. But in the vein of like just body fat and muscle mass, that is going to be 100% the gold standard.
Right.
So, and is there any other method that we're missing?
Let me consult my notes. No.
So I would tell you the gold standard, number one, if you can afford it,
Is get an MRI.
is get an MRI. An MRI will tell you everything. And we get it. Not everybody.
That's
The
$2,000.
only detractor to that is it's expensive as shit and it takes more time. Like I think you're in the MRI for at least 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. And AI is so good now that it's basically reading them for you. You're always going to have an MRI technician, which is like another topic that we can. I mean, I can certainly see a time where you just get an MRI and there's no human that actually interprets it, because that's honestly the confounding error point is
How
the
you read the
human, how
results.
the human is perceiving what that image is like. Which is also really important to like note. You know, an image is just an image. You have to have the history involved with the image to really create a better picture, or the context of what that image is.
And there's other, you can have an MRI done with or without contrast.
Yeah.
So if you're really interested,
The,
like in like a
for your joints,
for your joints, you would want to have it with dye.
The so the detractors are one, it's expensive. Two, it takes more time. Three, if you have any metal in your body. Actually, I had a patient today where she tried to do the pre-novo and they flagged her because they were like, "Do you have something in your pocket?" And she's like, "No, I have nothing in my pocket." They're like, "There is a mass. There's like a metal artifact right here where your pocket is." And they're like, "Nope." So they stopped. And then a week later, she realizes that when she was like 7, 8 years old,
She forgot.
She got shot with a BB gun by her brother in the ass.
It's just been sitting in there?
Yeah, it's just been sitting in there. Actually, I have another patient,
That's absolutely
which is
crazy.
so crazy, but I have another patient who got shot in the BB gun right under his eye. And he didn't go blind. If it had gone like a millimeter one way or the other, he would have lost his eye, but it didn't. And so they didn't take it out, and he can never get an MRI because he has metal in his body. So the third attractor is if you have fucking any metal in your body, unfortunately, you can't get an MRI. You're going to have to go to a CT scan. So then the second best would be CT scan, because again, you're just getting more detail, more information. A third is DEXA scan, which is going to be the most affordable. I mean, my DEXA scan,
most affordable, high quality.
Yeah, high quality. So my DEXA scan, I think, cost me anywhere between $50 to $70. I don't know. It literally took about 6 minutes. I was in and out, and then within 15 minutes, they sent me the results. So that was great. So DEXA scan is number 3. Number 4 would be your hydrostatic air displacement. Number 5 would be your body scale impedance. And then number 6 would be your calipers. And again, the reason why your calipers are the last is because there's so many ways in which it could be fucked up.
Yeah.
There's so many ways. So those are the 6. We wanted to clear those things up. We hopefully you got a lot of information from it.
Yeah. I think so.
I mean, I got a lot of information from it.
I know more now.
I mean, as funny as I know these things, and I've gone to school for them, obviously, and even myself, I forget.
Right. It's just it's so much information sometimes, and it's a lot of different technology aspects to each device, so it's easy to get it all kind of confused sometimes.
Well, on next week's episode, we'll go in depth on more how Eric has made me fatter, and we're at on Masters weekend, which is why I'm wearing my Masters hat.
How's Rory doing?
Rory's not doing well. He's even. He's even after he had a horrendous. I think it was 16-17 where he double bogeyed.
Yeah, because he was
Um,
what, 4 under at one point.
he was 4 under at one point, and he erased that on the
Oh,
back nine.
rough.
Yeah, Masters is like a crazy tournament,
Mm-hmm.
but we still have a lot of. It's Friday, so we still have a lot of tournament left. We shall see what transpires over the weekend and on competition Sunday. But this was an episode about body fat. Hopefully you've gotten a lot of information, and we're SPCAST